Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. So without any further ado, here's a man with a plan to put gold in your hand, Tony Hammock.
Wow, I don't know if I'm worthy of that introduction, but thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, hey, good morning, everybody out there in Axe Media viewer land. Hopefully you're having a wonderful week. It's a glorious morning out there, and I think it's supposed to touch 70-something today. So maybe spring and stuff is finally here. We don't have any more of these days in the 30s. I don't know. But anyway, we have had a lot of activity since last week's show. Anymore, that's kind of the standard. You know, with everything that's going on in the world.
The new gold standard.
Yes, the gold, the economy, the Federal Reserve, the pandemic, all the other international countries.
Murder hornets.
The hornets, yeah. Although, you know, I saw a video where a praying mantis was taking care of one.
Well, you know, okay, so, and I just have to say this because, you know, that's like you think, what else can go wrong in 2020, right? Don't ever ask that because it could get worse. So there is a wasp. I think it's in Arizona. It's called the Arizona hawk wasp, and it's like 3 to 4 inches long.
It's a big wasp.
I mean, that would whoop a murder hornet any day, I think. So
Yeah. Well, actually, last night because our 12-year-old Luke just loves this kind of stuff. So I was looking and there was an article I came across that was like, okay, so if you think this new hornet is bad news, there's a Asian moth that is somehow been brought into the state of Washington, and apparently it is, you know, as far as invasive things go, just really, really awful. But
well, I mean, that's where they found the murder hornets.
yeah,
They came from Asia too, apparently.
well, you know, you got to figure Seattle's a pretty big port, so SeaTac and everything, you know, that's where all those container ships are coming in and unloading, and then they get on the truck or a train and come inward. So, but anyway, we've got a big, big day, I think, as far as information and stories to cover and stuff. And you know what I thought I'd do as far as the very first thing is get into the devotional for the stewardship class. I found a new one. It's called... what is it called? The Money Series, and I think there's seven lessons in this one and stuff. Now, I already kind of looked at this day one, and I think what we'll do is we may just read half of it just because it was really long, and we only have an hour, so... But day one, introduction and my story, and I'll just kind of get into this, and we can do the second half next week. But it says, over the past decade or so, I found myself having a huge passion for money. Not the love of money, but the power behind money and what it can accomplish in our lives. I've walked with people who have no idea what money is and have no plan. Therefore, they absolutely hate talking about money, and the topic of it depresses them. I've walked with people who have plenty of money, more than they'll ever need, but have no intentional plan with it. And they also don't like talking about money. And then I've walked with people that, regardless of the amount of money they have a plan, and they are content with the topic of money. My personal journey with money has been a difficult road, a road that started with nothing, then everything, all the way back to bankruptcy, hitting rock bottom, then starting again on a new foundation with new principles, a foundation and a set of principles that have had tremendous success over the past decade. The more people I walk with, the more I'm convinced we all still need help with how to manage money. More importantly, how to manage God's money. And remember, the show is about mainly gold and silver, alternative assets, which are God's money. So that's, you see the connection there? In the Money series, my hope is to share and teach on what money is, how to make a budget, and what exactly tithes and offerings are, why paying off debt should be emphasized, how to build a savings and retirement fund, and how to continue growing in generosity. My hope is that it would encourage you and teach you how to build a financial foundation based on principles from the Bible and how to manage God's money. There are other resources out there, and I support quite a lot of them. At the same time, I feel convinced and convicted to share this money series along with my story for the glory of God and for the good of others. And then, let me just see here. let's go ahead. We'll read the next little bit, and then maybe we'll take a break till next week. I just remember looking at this and going, man, oh man, this is a long one. It says, my story. This is the author's story. I grew up in a household where money wasn't really talked about that much when I was a kid. Looking back, our bills were paid and we had food on the table, for which I'm very grateful. My parents worked hard to provide for my brother and me. While I remember hard work, I can't recall anything I learned about money. After my parents divorced and as I became a teenager, I was introduced to money by the thought of getting my first job, driving my first car, and paying my bills along the way. I learned that you get a job, work, and then receive money. At that age, that idea astounded me, and I thought, heck yeah, let's go get some money. In that same season, my dad drove into me the principle of establishing my credit. Although I believe his intentions were great and he was trying to prepare me, this is where things got bad for me personally with money. As a teenager, when you hear that you can go apply for credit cards and personal loans and that they will give you a lot of money, and then you only have to pay back a little bit, you hear, what a great deal. I can get all this money and barely pay any of it back. So that is exactly what I did. Sounds like some of these incentive loans that have been going out lately. Anyway, I digress. I established my credit all right, all the way up to thousands and thousands of dollars in debt. That mindset carried me through many years of living off my credit cards and loans. Everyone I met was in debt too, so I figured this is how the real world lives financially. I never really second-guessed any of this. Eventually, I got into debt so badly that I had to file for bankruptcy, and this is where I hit rock bottom. It is an incredible feeling of failure to experience walking in a room and with multiple people present confess that you can't pay back what you owe. To admit your own faults and to take the penalty of bankruptcy, it's a feeling I will never forget and a feeling I wish no one ever has to experience in this life. I hit rock bottom and I realized what I knew financially was wrong and I didn't have a plan. After that time period, my plan in terms of managing my money was this. I would log into my bank account. I would view what my available balance was, and depending on the amount that was in there, that determined my mood about money. If it was a high amount, I thought to myself, sweet, I have plenty of money. If it was a low amount, I thought to myself, dang, I never have enough money. And then I'd go from there and spend the money I didn't spend or drive up credit in the way I previously did as a teenager. But looking back, I'd say my plan of viewing my bank balance was no plan at all. It was just a reactive way to look at money. No wonder most of us don't like talking about money. We don't really know what it is, why we have it, or what to do with it. A while after this time period, I became a believer. A friend invited me to go to a financial class, and I figured since I didn't really have a plan anyway, plus they gave away free food, it couldn't hurt, right? After that class, I was introduced to some foundational principles about money from the Bible, and while I didn't understand everything that was presented, it intrigued me to find out more. Besides, what did I have to lose? I already had filed bankruptcy in my past, and I only looked at my bank balance to see how much money I had. The thought that there was another way, a better way, intrigued me. So I started down that path. And then he gets into the money series, which is what this whole book is about. Let me preface this entire series with the fact that I am not the expert. I'm not officially giving you advice and telling you what you must do with your finances. I'm simply here as a guide and want to share what I believe the Bible has to say about managing God's money and share what we personally do so that it would be an encouragement for you. So now, over a decade later, after years and years of searching the Bible, getting help from multiple pastors and counselors, walking with old and young friends, watching videos and reading books, and applying what I've learned into our financial picture, I can tell you there is a way to manage God's money. There is a way to be intentional with your money and not live paycheck to paycheck. There is, the is in capitals, just FYI. There is a way to have zero debt and to have savings in retirement. There is a way to grow in generosity, to tithe, and to give to others whenever the opportunity arises. There is a way to go from hating to talk about money to loving to talk about money. And most of all, there is a way to glorify God with your money and find financial freedom. This is what I want to share and why I want to share it with you. I want you to find the same financial freedom I have found and to glorify God with your money. This is the money series. That sounds like a nice objective. Let's glorify God with our money, and we will go next week to the next lesson in this one. I didn't think I'd get through that, but it was kind of a good read once we got started there, so hopefully you agree. and that is called the Money Series. And I think there's 7 total lessons. So we'll excuse me, we'll go on next week to number 2, and so forth. What I'm going to try and do this morning is kind of do some of the housekeeping that we've established. That's the core of the program, and then I've got a couple of new things I want to share with you. And I just think that some of them, hopefully, you'll find as interesting as I do. But before we do that, let's get into some pricing. And now these prices are the precious metals, and they're as of 9:10 this morning. And remember, the precious metals are per ounce. So gold is $1,710. Silver is $15.64. Platinum is $768. Palladium is $1,890. Excuse me. And rhodium is $7,500. The base metals are by the pound, and copper is $2.38. Nickel is $5.53. Aluminum is 65 cents. Zinc is 89 cents. Lead is 72 cents, and uranium is $33.40. And crude oil is back up to $25.52 a barrel. And as we speak, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 219 points. It's right now at 23,532. So that is the pricing as far as today. And then some of the headlines. Easy come, easy gold. Gold prices are back down to pre-Powell levels after he poured some major cold water on the idea of negative interest rates in the U.S. June gold futures last traded at $17.14 an ounce, up 0.43% on the day. So if you weren't watching, Chairman Powell was making a press announcement this morning and had several things to cover. You know, as it always is with any of these kinds of announcements, you know, there's people out there that are willing to make changes, you know, like right there based on that one statement. What do I call those people? Those are speculators. You know, there are some people out there that they have so much money that even if whatever it is they're invested in, be it gold, uranium, a stock, whatever, if it moves just a few basis points, they make or lose a substantial amount of money. So that's where all that kind of comes from. You've got the speculators that do that. But as long as we're talking about Jay Powell, let's do this. Hopefully you guys and girls know that I really like Simon Black. And yesterday I got his most recent article, and I had noticed this myself the day before. You know, it's kind of like last fall. I think it was late November, somewhere maybe early December. I was reading a story about how all of a sudden the Fed was buying these repos back. And I don't mean, you know, repossessions, you know, that banks have or something like that. I'm talking about a financial instrument that the Fed uses with banks, kind of an overnight type of transaction to establish liquidity for these big banks. And I had noticed that they were starting to buy them, which basically was putting money into the system and creating liquidity. And I think I mentioned that on the show at that point, that was kind of a scary sign. You know, why don't we have more liquidity in our system, especially with the economy, you know, going gangbusters like it's been for supposedly so many years and stuff. And sure enough, that was kind of the start of, you know, some of these other things that started to happen before the pandemic, you know, kind of made its appearance on stage, so to speak. But I noticed day before yesterday that the Federal Reserve had announced that besides all the repos and government bonds and financial easing and things like that they were going to be doing, they were going to start buying ETFs. Now, if you're not familiar with an ETF, basically it's an investment that is based on a a group of similar items. So, for example, there's gold ETFs, there are stock ETFs, there's healthcare ETFs. So, for example, if you're putting together a portfolio and you don't want to just go with, let's say, one healthcare company, you could go buy the healthcare ETF that you like and put that in your portfolio. And then you've got, 15, 20 healthcare companies in there based on that ETF. So I noticed that Jay Powell announced that the Fed was going to be buying ETFs. And then lo and behold, yesterday at about 11:27 a.m., I got this email. So let me read it to you. Hopefully you're okay with me reading stuff. I'll feel like I'm a newsline reporter here, an anchor or something. But it says, just when you thought they couldn't come up with any more crazy ideas, the Federal Reserve announced last night that they will start buying exchange-traded funds. Effective immediately. Just to be clear, this means that the Fed is going to conjure money out of thin air and then use that new money to buy ETFs. But not just any ETF. This is where it gets really interesting. The Fed is specifically targeting ETFs that own corporate bonds. It's no longer government bonds, it's corporate bonds. Why would they do that? The key idea here is that the Fed is trying to bail out bankrupt companies across the land of the free. Under normal circumstances, most medium and large businesses regularly issue corporate bonds to help fund their companies. It's a form of, or a type of debt. This is pretty normal. Even very strong and healthy businesses regularly go into debt by issuing bonds. For example, Apple Computer has been wildly profitable for years, but the company has about $90 billion in debt, according to its most recent financial statements. Plus, they just issued another $8 billion in bonds last week. Companies all over the world do this, and the total size of the global corporate bond market is absolutely enormous, tens of trillions of dollars. The obvious problem is that there are countless businesses around the world, both big and small, that simply aren't going to make it through the economic crisis. So, airlines, hotels, restaurant chains, factories, shipping companies, retail stores, daycare facilities, construction companies, etc., have all been devastated by the pandemic. Most of these companies have borrowed extensively, and without any revenue, there's likely going to be a giant wave of defaults in the corporate bond market. American Airlines, for example, has $21 billion in debt. There's practically zero chance they'll be able to make interest payments, which will trigger a default of their corporate bonds. Thousands of other companies are in a similar position. They won't be able to make their payments. The even bigger problem is that eventually bonds mature and need to be paid back. Unlike the mortgage on your house, though, whose principal balance is slowly paid down over 20 to 30 years, most corporate bonds are interest only. They pay what's called a coupon, which is a regular interest payment, and then the entire principal balance is paid back when the bond matures after perhaps 7 to 10 years. Usually, when their corporate bonds mature, most companies simply issue new bonds. It's sort of like a refinance. So instead of paying back $1 billion worth of bonds that are about to mature, the company will issue $1 billion in new bonds for another 10 years. But these are not normal times. Right now, the bond market is frozen solid, and very few investors want to buy bonds of, say, an airline or a cruise operator. And I don't blame them. Would you? But a lot of these companies have billions of dollars worth of bonds that are about to mature. And without a way to roll over those bonds and refinance the debt, they'll be in default, meaning most investors who own those bonds will suffer major losses. This is a huge problem because it can cause a chain reaction across the entire financial system. Let's imagine Root Airways, he just throws in some names here, has $10 billion worth of bonds that are about to mature. But Root Airways is out of cash and has no hope of generating revenue while the lockdowns are in place. So instead of paying back the $10 billion, Root Airways defaults. Big Ego Capital Partners is a hedge fund that owns billions of dollars worth of Root's bonds. So when Root Airways defaults, Big Ego is also wiped out. Big Ego owes a lot of money to Liars Bank. Clever names, aren't they? So when Big Ego goes under, Liar's Bank also takes a huge hit. You get the idea. If thousands of companies constituting trillions of dollars worth of bonds don't pay, then the chain reaction across the entire financial system will be nothing short of cataclysmic. This is what the Fed is trying to prevent with the only tool they have available, printing more money. So again, the Fed is going to conjure money out of thin air and use that money to buy corporate bonds and bond ETFs. Their plan is to help companies like Root Airways roll over their debts and hopefully prevent a chain reaction of defaults across the entire financial system. According to yesterday's press release, the Fed estimates spending $750 billion initially, though it's clear they could easily blow past that number. That, of course, is on top of the trillions of dollars worth of other commitments they've already made, the $2.6 trillion they've already printed, and the trillions of dollars of other facilities they'll create in the future. I've been writing about this a lot lately, but at the risk of beating this horse to death, I believe it's worth repeating. There is so much we don't know about the economic consequences of this pandemic. Will we see major inflation, depression, or stagflation? No one really knows. But one thing that has become totally obvious is that central banks around the world are going to continue printing incomprehensible sums of money. This is whatever it takes monetary policy. I won't bother opining on whether what they're doing is right or wrong. It doesn't matter. The reality is that it's happening. They're printing ridiculous quantities of money, and that's that. Nothing we can do will change that fact. Only our decision is how we choose to react. Again, there's no playbook here, and every possible scenario is on the table. But historically speaking, whenever central banks devalue their currencies by printing vast amounts of money, real assets, wait for it, and especially gold and silver, generally tend to be safe havens from the monetary consequences. To your freedom, Simon Black. That is one man's opinion, and like I said, it came out literally the day after I saw that the Fed was going to start buying ETFs, which is kind of a scary idea. I mean, you know, every time they print money, remember since 1971 when President Nixon took us off the gold standard, our dollars, US dollars, which everybody in the world kind of looks to as the, the currency that keeps it all together, our dollars have been fiat currency, which means that they're not backed by anything. There's no gold backing. There's no silver backing. It's just basically currency because the U.S. government says so. And now they're printing even more of it, which means that it becomes less valuable. You know, back in 1913, I think it was, the U.S. dollar was 100 cents on the dollar. And over the years, I mean, it's kind of gone down. Actually, looking at you on the screen, you'd probably see it go this way on the graph. And as of 2 years ago, it was down to where it was like 5 cents on the dollar as far as purchasing power that it still retained from, 1913. So with this new onslaught of dollars that are being printed, obviously things can get worse. So, not to be redundant on Mr. Simon's thought, but real assets are the place to be. You know, we've always said that maybe 10%, maybe 15%, maybe with that kind of knowledge, maybe a few percentage points more, but usually 10 to 15% in gold and silver makes a lot of sense because of their relationship to the other investment vehicles. Usually when the stock market goes down, those two will go up. And so that is one of the things that I wanted to cover. The other thing I wanted to cover, and this is just going to be real brief, is I was kind of clearing out my briefcase yesterday, and I came across this. I mean, I know that's kind of small. That is a gram of silver, and you can still qualify or get a free gram of silver if you want to, because the company that offers that is Mint Builder. And you can go to preciousmetaltrends.com/671862. So once again, preciousmetaltrends.com silver.com/671862. And to, if you'll do a small survey, and I think it's like 5 or 6 questions, they will send you a free gram of silver. So now remember, silver's about $15.50 an ounce right now, and there's 31 grams in an ounce. So you can do the math, and you can see that a gram of silver is about 50 cents. But it's free, and it's silver, and if silver does skyrocket, it may be worth a heck of a lot more someday. So that's a free way to do that. Now, speaking of coins, yesterday I was really excited because with the 8th of the month, at least this month, I had my auto ship from the other company I like, which is 7K Metals. And of the last 2 months, I have switched from silver eagles to gold coins. And so yesterday in the mail, I got my most recent one. This is a 2020 Eagle $5 gold coin, MS70, which is stands for Mint State, 70 being the highest quality you can get. And as you can see, it's encased, hermetically sealed in this plastic case. And it is really neat looking. I mean, it's about the size of a dime. But, you know, if you do the math with gold being at 1705, this is about $170 at spot. And because it's a coin and it's MS70, it would have a premium above spot. Now, what that is, I don't know, but just sitting here talking to you, I'd say it's probably, you know, $190, $195 based on, you know, who's telling you with the premium that they would charge and stuff. But kind of a convenient way of having that much with you if you need it. But anyway, that's my second one that I've gotten from them, and I'm just really impressed with the delivery and the quality and those kinds of things. You know, I think as I can afford it, I will continue to move more and more into that area. And then, as I've said before, I got my travel savings card. And because this is the gold one, this one's for $250. I can use this card to save on over 400,000 hotels, resorts, and cruises worldwide. And I just need to activate it if I want to use it. If I don't activate it, it's good forever. If I activate it at the 7K Getaway website, then it's only good for 18 months. And because of the pandemic and how little travel there is going on, I'm not going to activate it just yet. I'm going to wait and let the dust settle, so to speak, and then I'll activate it, because I know my family is dying for a road trip. We're dying to go someplace. Asa found out he had to go back to University of Tulsa and clear out his room and give up his key and all this kind of stuff, so he needs to make a trip back there sometime in the next week or two. And, you know, we were all like, can we go? Can you do it on a Saturday? Because, I mean, just the thought of that little short drive to Tulsa sounds exciting at this point. When I get these coins, I get a newsletter from this company. And this is the May 2020. They call it the Vault Report. And there were just a couple of things. I'm trying to remember what it was in here. Here's a lady, Christine Campbell. And she is now what they call a copper associate. And she lives in Rigby, Idaho. And it's short and sweet, so I'll just read this to you. A few days before Christmas 2019, my husband and I had our prayers answered when a good friend of ours presented 7K to us. A few months prior, we had chosen to remodel our double-car garage into a large family room in order to fit our combined family of 8 kids, plus their spouses, and our 16 grandkids. The remodel cost much more than we anticipated, and we knew we both needed to go to work to get everything paid for. My husband had a brain aneurysm 7 years prior, and because of a short-term memory, he would probably have to be a door greeter at Walmart. We wanted to find instead something that we could do together to keep us home, as we had a small farm and animals to take care of. I wrote a list of what we wanted to find, and it also included building something that we could give to our kids and travel more. Our best Christmas present ever was finding 7K. As we received everything on our wish list and so much more, we have never done network marketing before, and the greatest benefit besides the incredible product and residual income is the people. We have a wonderful growing team and have received much guidance from top leaders. We love owning a business for only $499 per year. That includes everything to be successful, and count the $95 per month coin of the month as overhead. The founders are solid, and their dream is helping us leave a legacy for our kids. We absolutely love 7K and our 7K lifers. And I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but there's a picture of her. And you know, it seems like every month I'm reading across testimonies from folks around the country. Here's a young lady, just real quick. Maybe this is the one I thought of when I saw that I wanted to read, because this is Brooke Stelly. Brooke is from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. She's a silver associate. My name is Brooke Stelly, and I'm from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana. I am the youngest silver associate at 7K. I joined this amazing company a few days short of my 18th birthday. I chose to make a career out of it by helping other people add value to their lives through 7K. This has all been done with the help from my parents, leaders, awesome team, and awesome company. I plan to use 7K as a vehicle to help others like myself who are out of school right now. In addition to helping people who are out of work, it's my goal to help these individuals like myself understand the economy and the importance of having a company like 7K in our lives. My goal is to make 6 figures in 6 months. This goal is not for the money, but rather about the amount of people we all have the power to help as a team to bring along with us. The money then just follows. We have to help others and add value and be selfless leaders to move up and make more income. I've learned that this is a key. I know that 7K is a big attraction for me and my family's legacy in the future. And so I just, you know, there's a picture of Brooke, and I guess she's now probably 18, but what a great start for a young lady. You know, I mean, if she gets, say, 5 years under her belt, she'll probably be set for life. And then last but not least, I wanted to just kind of show this. You've heard me talk in the past about these pre-1933 coins and the fact that they don't have to be reported for the revenue code with the IRS, which is kind of handy. So here's just one page. It says, the government doesn't let much happen without getting their cut, even with precious metals. There are reporting rules for precious metals, but take a look at some of the non-reportable items below. Stick with these, and it'll make things easy breezy come tax time. And if you look, there's 7 different kinds of coins. There's Australian Perth mint coins, Austrian coins, Canadian silver maple leaf coins, American gold and silver eagle coins, American gold buffalo coins, Chinese panda coins, and fractional bullion coins, which must be what my gold coin I showed you earlier is. It says any bullion product not included in the reportable items list does not need a Form 1099-B to be filed, regardless of how large the quantity purchased is. Many exempt products, such as American Silver Eagle coins, are not on the list because they were not in existence when the reportable items list was created. So it may change, knowing our Treasury Department and the IRS. Anyway, that kind of comes to a conclusion on that newsletter, and it's a great time with Mr. Matt here and sitting right across from me to see if he wants to make his announcement.
Yeah, I can do that.
Take it away, Matt.
All right. Hey, everybody. Matt here, station director. I wanted to talk to you guys for a moment about how you, if you're enjoying these shows and you would like to help us to do the right thing and serve where needed, go online to axmediagroup.com and check out all the cool stuff that we have there. Not just the donate button, but there's many other things. You can see old videos, last week's shows and things like that. You can see past shows. You could also get in touch with us there. If you're interested in becoming a minister, you can check that out there as well. Read the Real News Review. But we're wanting to expand our hours of operation and our programming, and we can't do that without your help. So you can go on there. As you're scrolling down, you look to the right, and you'll see, that would be right or whatever way you're looking at it. It's to your right if you're looking at it. The Donate Now button. So If you do that, they take credit card, debit card, and PayPal. You can do a one-time donation, or you could become a monthly partner with us and have it come out of your account the same amount the same date every month. We look forward to working with you guys, and you can also see what your money is going to do, how it's going to work out, or how we're using it by when we expand the programming. And also, there's just really cool articles on Real News Review. There's the Helping Hands Fund. You can figure out how to get in touch with that there. And that's so if you need these natural supplements to survive, there is a Helping Hands Fund to help offset the cost of those, as well as the Kidney Fund. And what we do is we raise money for a particular individual whenever they get their transplant. This helps to pay the co-pays for the anti-rejection medication. We also have autism awareness programs, veteran church, and veterans programs as well, and much, much more. So go online to axmediagroup.com and check it out, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Back to you, Tony.
Thanks, Matt. All good stuff, and I can't think of a better ministry to work with than the Axe ministry. What I thought I would do for a little bit here is I got some clarification on this next topic earlier this week. And I know this is going to seem like it's a 7K show. I mean, it's not intended to be. I mean, over the several months that we've been on the air, hopefully if you're a constant viewer that tunes in weekly, you know that I've talked about several different programs. And the way I look at it is some of these companies, in my opinion, it's kind of like being a golfer. If you're a golfer, you know you can only have 14 clubs in the bag. If you have 15, you'd be disqualified in a tournament. So not that I have 14 companies, but you know, each one of them kind of addresses a different niche. For example, you know, Ryan Long over there at National Gold Consultants. You know, the man's been doing this for 40 years. He is just a incredible wealth of knowledge and has helped some of my clients with large, vast sums. You know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and is just very, very good. And we've had, like last week, we had Peter on with Mint Builder, and Mint Builder has some niches that I think they fill very, very well, and of course 7K, and there's others that we've talked about and stuff. But to get to the point, you know, 7K has a health plan. And, you know, there's something like 30 million Americans that do not have access to health care coverage. So if you're in the viewing audience and you don't have health care right now, or soon will not have health care, because that's one of the biggest risks of this pandemic, is as people have been laid off, furloughed, fired, you know, whatever the scenario is, and now they're, you know, collecting unemployment and all this kind of stuff. You know, there's just a lot of folks that don't have health care that 4 months ago did. And so I'm sure this number instead of 30 million is much higher, but here's how the 7K health care plan works. You notice that when I read the profiles of Brooke and the other lady, you know, they mentioned they started a business. So, you know, like if you're just an individual, you would have to be a member of 7K. And the memberships are very affordable. I mean, you know, there's one as little as $199, and then, you know, bam, you've got your own business. But here's the key. They're getting their health plan from the SBA Freedom Plans. And SBA stands for Small Business Administration. So that's how a distributor for 7K qualifies to then use the 7K health plan. Here's the interesting point. If you're a company owner and you've got from 2 to, you know, however many hundred employees, and you'd like to provide health care, you can do the 7K health plan and not necessarily have to be a member of 7K. You'd have to have a membership with the SBA, and that's about $2 a month. So, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that all of a sudden I've found a way to help some of the company owners, business owners that I work with a health plan that is just very, very affordable. And let me go through what I mean by that. First off, for individuals, let's get into this here. let me see. First off, um, 7K health plans are not your typical health coverage. The 7K health plan is a partially self-funded health care coverage program integrated or regulated by ERISA, which is federal law and sets the standards for over 60% of the employer-established healthcare plans in private and public sector industry. Now, there is zero deductible. Now, imagine that. We've all been playing that game for the last couple of years. You know, if you do have insurance, you know, your deductibles sometimes 6,000, 7,000 or higher. So it's first dollar coverage, no medical underwriting, no pre-existing condition exclusions, ACA mandated coverages, and more. Plus nationwide preferable provider networks that includes over 4,000 primary hospitals and most licensed board certified physicians. The 7K Metals healthcare plans offer zero deductible coverage with the flexibility, affordability, and usability so you can now effectively manage your health care. You purchase the amount of coverage that you believe best fits your needs and lifestyles, and we realize it's not for everyone. If your annual coverage needs are expected to exceed the 7K healthcare plan's annual coverage limits, you should consider additional industry available options. The 7K distributors, they have two options, and they actually can work together. One is the 7K health plan, which offers 4 comprehensive plans to cover individuals and families. And then they have another one called the Alliance for Shared Health Plans, ASH, offered through free market administrators, has 3 catastrophic plan levels to choose from: 150,000 maximum, 250 annual maximum, and 500,000 annual maximum. So what we're finding is there's a lot of folks that are actually doing both. You know, they've got the 7K health plan for your typical things that, you know, can happen. You know, if you got a child, they fall down and break an arm, you know, whatever the scenario I can come up with is, and you would do that. And then you have the Alliance for Standard Health for, you know, anything that might be very, very major. And, you know, you can go to the website. Let me give you the website URL. It would be 7khealth.com / and then my name, which is TONYHA, M as in Mary, M as in Mary, OCK. So you can go to this website and you can kind of, you know, find a provider, compare plans, find a pharmacy, you know, all these different things. And what I wanted to do is just to give you kind of an idea of what we're talking about. Plan comparisons. Uh-oh. My internet.
Uh-oh.
Mobile hotspot. I hate when it does that. Okay, now let's see if that adjusted. There it is. Connecting. Presto changeo.
Voila.
There we go. There we go. Okay, so plan comparison tables. And this is on the website, so you can go in and you can kind of check it out and stuff. But there's a basic plan, and it has the basic benefits. There's an extra enhanced benefits you can add to it. And then there is Plan B, which is one you can use with PPO networks. And there is some enhanced. And then there's a Plan C, which is even more comprehensive. And I know this is neat and all, but you're wanting to know prices. Let me give you now these are for individual or family rates, okay? The Plan A, which is, now this is for ages 18 to 49. Employee only is $254 a month. Employee plus one is $429 a month, and employee plus family is $561 a month. If you're 50 to 64, employee only is 277, employee plus one is 476, and employee plus family is 629. And then if with Plan B, which is a little bit more comprehensive, you've got an employee only. This is 18 to 49. 313, employee plus one, 542, and employee plus family, 723. And then ages 50 to 64, employee only, 351, employee plus one, 621, and employee plus family, 836. And I'm sure those are rates that are, just much, much better than anything you've seen out there. Here's their biggest plan, the Plan C. Ages 18 to 49, employee only is 372, employee plus one is 660, and employee plus family is 890. And then if you're 50 to 64, this is Plan C, employee only is 425, employee plus one is 771, and employee plus family is 1,048. And that's monthly, so obviously, that's got obviously more comprehensive coverage and so forth. But their close down each month is the 25th. So like in this example, we're in May. If you went to the website and found a plan that you liked and, applied for it and stuff, basically what would happen is if you were in there by the 25th of May, your credit card would be charged on the 26th of May, and then your plan would be effective in this example June 1st. And you would get a card you could carry in your wallet, and it would have all your information so that if you had to go to, provider, you would show them that card, and, that would be basically, the rules of engagement, so to speak. So just a quick example that I heard about yesterday. The gentleman who runs this program was telling us about his son. I guess last year his high school son was playing basketball and got hurt, actually broke his arm. And, of course, they ran to the emergency room, and they had their 7K health card, the SBA Freedom card. And they got the boy in and, got him looked at and stuff. And it was basically going to be about a $2,000 procedure. And so, they got everything taken care of and set up and stuff like this. And then when they left, they only had to pay a $20 deductible. And so, and the hospital told them, okay, and then, you'll be billed for the balance. And so a couple weeks went by, and sure enough, they got the bill. But one of the things about the SBA Freedom plans is they negotiate these payments. And so as he told it, his $2,000 quoted price was closer to $800. And then at that level, you split it 50-50. So he's thinking, okay, so $400. But even better was the SBA Freedom plans have folks inside that monitor the individual cost. And they had spotted a few on the invoice that they thought the hospital had overcharged on. You've heard those stories. An aspirin is $25 and, stuff like that. So apparently they made a few adjustments. And when it was all said and done, for what was initially a $2,000 expense to get his son's arm taken care of, I think he said he was out of pocket $175, and 20 of that was the copay there at the the front end on the very first day and stuff. So not every experience is going to be exactly like that, but I just wanted to share this with you because if you are one of the 30 million plus that don't have health care, this may be something you want to look at, and you're always welcome to call me. I'm at 417-755-0700, or you can email me at tony@hammockfinancialgroup.com. So tony@hammockfinancialgroup.com. And remember, the website is 7khealth.com/Tony Hammock, TonyHammock. Now, there's more. It gets even better. Remember I said, if you're a small business owner and you're in the viewing audience, you can go to 7khealthgroup.com. In fact, let me do that real quick in my browser.
Yeah.
And
got it. 5 minutes.
And at that point, you'll see, welcome to 7K Health Group Plans, and it gets into all of the features and benefits of those. And then what's most important is if you were looking at the page, about a third of the way from the right side, there is a menu called Get a Quote. And you can go in there and click on it and literally plug in the information they ask for and get a quote. Or you can call me, and I'll be happy to run the quote for you. Once again, Tony Hammock, 417-755-0700. And, this is just one of those things that I've found that is really, really handy for some business owners. Because, let's face it, you want to have health benefits without breaking the bank. And it also helps you retain, better employees and all that kind of stuff. And so here's a way that through the SBA Freedom Plans, and by the way, they're out of Colorado, you can have health care also for your employees. And the quotes happen pretty quick. And then there's obviously some paperwork, which I can help with, and so forth. So anyway, I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but I did want to let you know that there are some alternatives out there that are available through 7K. Next week, I may talk a little bit about their IRA plan, which has some really neat options, as far as what you can do with your IRA money. Obviously, gold and silver being one of them, but there are some other really, really neat ones and stuff. But as Matt said, I am close to being out of time, so let's do this. Let's kind of start winding down. We covered a lot of ground today, and I'm sure by next week there'll be more ground to cover with everything that's going on out there. And before we get too far along, let me just kind of say thanks to Jim and Pam Whining, who make this all possible, Dr. Paul Collins, who definitely makes this all possible, and I know they've got some big events. In fact, Matt, real quick, do you want to kind of cover what those events are coming up?
June 1st through the 5th, we will be having the telethon, and that'll be starting at 8 o'clock in the morning each day.
Okay.
And we also, in July, we've got Axe Fest coming up, which is going to be strictly online on Facebook Live and stuff, I believe.
Is that for the moment, and it could change?
Well, I don't want to misquote anybody, so I'm not going to answer that at the moment.
Okay.
But throughout this week and next week, we'll have way more details.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
But June 1st through the 5th, that's when we're going to have all those different competitions and stuff, and it's all going to be Facebook Live. Plus, it's going to be rebroadcast later on in the evening. There's going to be a singing competition.
I was going to say, is there a talent show?
There's a talent competition and a singing competition.
Ooh.
Church groups on one, and then just individual talent, where they can do more than just sing. There's going to be what we call the Springburg Sandwich Saint competition. And then there's going to be a competition over who has the best 2-minute message or mini sermon, if you will. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be an ordained pastor to do that. You can, lay people can do a 2-minute message as well, but you got to request us to send you, what do you call those? An application for entry. And also you would have to record the message yourself and then send it to me. But we'll give you more details throughout the week.
Good. Well, with that, I think we're just about plumb out of time. And thanks so much for tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week. May your retirement years be golden. And may your week have a silver lining. And hopefully between now and next week, I'll think of some better ones I can use. But anyway, thanks so much. Tony Hammock signing off. And be well, stay inside, and wear a mask if you go out. Thanks so much.